Hello and welcome. Today I am joined by Alex Crooke, who's the fund manager for the Bankers Investment Trust. Alex, thank you for joining me today. Now first off, October's sell-off was the second market correction in 2019, and now many people are talking about this long-running US bull market turning into a bear. So I'd like to know what your take was on that volatility in October, and what does it mean for markets as we head into 2019?
Well, I think in recent months we've seen a lot more what we call volatility, so prices up, down a lot, up a little bit as well. So I think it stems from two different events really. I think going back to sort of late summer into October, very much some geopolitical issues, the trade tariffs being ratcheted up between obviously China and the US, and a lot of political uncertainty. And I think it led to investors sort of retreating from the market, raising some cash, selling shares that had done particularly well. So that's where you saw some of the technology shares rolling over and falling in value. And then actually as we've moved into November, a lot more people beginning to question really 2019. So what does next year mean for markets, for investment, for economic growth? And I think that's where we've moved to a slightly different paradigm there. And I think the question there is largely around the US being the dominant economy in the world. The Federal Reserve Bank has been raising rates in the US. What impact is that going to have next year? And I think people beginning to think and worry about a recession in the US. I'm struggling to see that as an outcome. But I can see economic growth slowing into 2019 relative to the last 2 or 3 years' activity. And I think that will have an effect on stocks and shares and companies' prospects. So again, it's up to us as active investors to seek out the best opportunities where we will get some growth and where maybe it's not priced into shares.
Looking at the trust portfolio now, you have 7 stock pickers with regional expertise. So where are the most exciting opportunities being found?
Well, I think in terms of exciting opportunities, the US, as I said earlier, will probably slow down activity, but there's still some great companies there with either dominant positions. If we look at some of the paperless payment operators, Visa, MasterCard, really, a secular trend, I think, growing in the next 10 years of just reduced payments by cash and check. And so I think some very interesting companies still in the US. I think if you look at where are shares undervalued relative to maybe the outcome, underappreciated, undervalued, I think you're looking again into China, into Asia, and maybe also Europe, where I think again optimism is pretty low about Brexit and trade tariffs again there. And I think there's definitely some opportunities, but they'll probably be slower burn stocks where maybe we'll buy them and it'll be towards the back end of the year where we'll see some share price appreciation in those names.
So as you've mentioned, there's lots of uncertainty in the world right now. People are worried about where they might invest. So what I'd like to know from you is, what would be the benefits of holding the Bankers Investment Trust?
I think for me, I think, looking forward, Bankers is giving you a lot of international exposure. So it's over 75% non-UK investments today. If you were to strip out some of those UK names, which really are dollar earners, whether they're an oil company, a pharmaceutical company, we're looking at, again, over 85% of international earnings. So I think in a period of lots of doubts about what Brexit will mean for the country, what it will mean for the currency, I think there's some great benefits of having that international exposure. We can always go back into the UK as well. I think, again, on top of that is probably just the dividend income outlook, which again, it's a challenging operating environment. Actually, dividends are growing still, and again, we can pass those through to investors. So I think the dividend outlook, to me, looks reasonably robust across a lot of the shares and sectors we own.
Alex Crooke, thank you very much for joining me today.